On this particular Monday morning, we have many protests taking place across the globe. Is it significant? With now 17 minutes past 7 a.m., it's now time that I introduce my guest today. And of course, Honorable Nimrod Mbai and Gibson Gisore joining me this morning. I want to start with you, Honorable Nimrod. You've seen what is taking place on our roads and what Kenyans are saying, and you've heard what the president is talking about. From your view, from where you sit, what do you think about these particular protests that have been planned to take place today?
Gibson, thank you, and I want to say hi to our viewers this morning. I think it's one of those days which you can say it's a defining day for the country, because we have a government in place elected by the people. Then we have the other party which lost, which is now giving some reasons for maandamano. And they've given two reasons. One of the reasons is about the cost of living in this country, food, fuel, and the rest. Then the other reason is that they never lost fairly. The election was stolen by one Kamango, and that's why the President Ruto is in government. And those are the grievances they are trying to address. What we need to look at is the kind of grievances. Do they qualify for a protest? And first we start with the cost of living. The cost of living was went high in the other regime, when we had the handshake government, when Raila was right in the government, when Uhuru was the president. And that's the time the cost of living shot up, and they decided to address it through subsidies on consumables, which never worked even, because some money through supplementary budget was allocated for subsidies, and we never saw the food cost of living going down. The fuel, actually, my committee in Parliament, the Committee on Public Petitions, we have that petition on going on, and it is very clear from our investigations, food stuffs never went down, the cost of fuel never went down. So the current government, the Ruto government, is not the government that occasioned the cost of living to go high, although it is its mandate to lower the cost of living. That we agree to. It is not the cause, but now that Ruto is the president, he has a mandate to lower the cost of living, and he has explained clearly what he wants to do to lower the cost of living. He said instead of subsidizing consumption, he will subsidize production, which is working in a few months, because we have to produce enough so that the supply and demand can cause cost of living to go down.
All right.
Then we have the other reason. That is what they are saying. Election was stolen by one Kamango. We were here. We all voted. We understand the system of voting by KBC in Kenya. We watched what went on in Bomas at the National Tallying Center, where Chebgat was, and we were all elected. Like myself, I was elected, and the results which made me member of parliament are the same results which meant William Ruto, the president. They are the same results which meant all these governors to be governors, meant all these senators to be senators. And the form, after, I know you guys may have not gone through what happens because you are not party to any election. But like myself, I've gone through 2 elections. When people go to vote and at 6 polling stations are closed, what happens is all the agents, all the competing agents are called in by the presiding officer, and you are told, stand there, that the box of your candidate, that the box of your candidate, that the box of your candidate.
And remember, the doors are also locked.
Yes, the doors are closed. Even the entire primary school, which is in extension the polling station, is the gate are closed.
Yes.
People are not allowed in. We only have the IBC officials, including the agents of the various candidates. So the ballot box is emptied on a table, Then we go through one by one ballot paper. Yeah, this ballot paper, Raila Odinga. So his agent holds the ballot paper. This ballot paper, Raila Odinga, the agent holds. This ballot paper, William Ruto. This ballot paper, Wajakoya. Then after every agent gets the ballot papers for their candidates, now the ballot papers are counted. We get 100 for William Ruto, we get 300 for Raila Odinga, we get 2 for Jakoya, we get for Waiga. And that is entered. The results now are moved to a form which is signed by all the agents. As in, from where I was in polling station A, my candidate scored 200 votes. My candidate scored 100 votes. My candidate scored 2 votes. My candidate scored 0 votes. Then that is scanned for the presidential election. That is scanned and sent to the National Tallying Center, which is what Chebukati was using, straight from the polling station. Now, at the polling station, all these candidates have agents. As in now, let's get it back there. The forms from the polling stations, which now have been signed by all the agents, are scanned in a format which cannot be edited and forwarded to the National Tallying Center. And they will find the national agent, who is Chebukati, the chairman of IEBC, and the various agents for each presidential candidate. So you are told, Chebukati says, this is the form from polling station A.
Yes.
Look at your agent, Azimio, your agent has signed. Your candidate scored 300 votes. Kenya Kwanza, your agent have signed. Your candidate scored 100. Wajakoya, your candidate signed for 1 vote.
It is declared publicly, this person got this number of votes.
And your agent gets to verify.
Yes.
This is an original form.
Right.
My agent, our agent on the ground signed. So that is now tallied.
Yes.
You know, we get forms from all the polling stations at the National Tallying Center, and they are tallied. As in now, each county, we go to Kisumu County, all the forms from each polling station in Kisumu County are put together.
Based on what you're saying, Mheshimiwa, based on what you're saying, that the reasons behind the planned mass demonstrations do not carry water.
Yes, because we started with the cost of living. And the cost of living, the president, William Ruto, has explained clearly how he's going to handle the cost of living by subsidizing production, where the cost of fertilizer has gone down by more than half.
And even for the election, still, it was a free and fair process.
It was a free and fair, and the cause of recourse, if you feel you have lost in a manner that is not agreeable, you are supposed to go to the
go to court.
To court, and they went to the Supreme Court with a whole track of evidence. And by the end of the day, the High Court, their lawyers, their agents provided this evidence, and the counter by Kenya Kwanza lawyers, agents was there. One of the critical things that happened at the High Court is when the High Court ordered the affected polling stations, the server lets clerks from the polling station, clerks from the High Court, and representatives of each candidate go to IEBC and access the server on the following polling station to see whether there was a problem.
And I'm seeing what you're saying is very turning out so clearly. It was free and fair. And let me come to you, Gibson, on the same.
Before we go to Gibson, I want to make a very clear point.
On what?
The point I'm making,
yes.
You know, it's good to explain and to argue a point to conclusion so that Mwananchi can understand. So what they're saying, the server to be opened. By the way, this server is a creation. There is no server that there is a key you go and open. These are ICT things which you can log in and log out. So when clerks from High Court, agents from each side went to IBC and accessed the electrical devices, they found out that the alleged affected polling stations were just so clear. The results that the High Court, the Supreme Court had is what is in the server.
The server.
So this is what was declared to be OTR.
All right. So
and from that, we had a loser and a winner. Like any other election.
I want to hear also from Gibson, and your point has been made clear. Gibson, what do you think about these particular plans for demonstration? Do you agree with what Mheshimiwa is saying? I'm looking at the reasons behind these demonstrations. Do the reasons carry water? And should Kenyans hearken to the voice of Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga?
Thank you so much for inviting me to this morning show. My reasons, for me, the reasons which are being propagated, first of all, are critical issues at this particular time of this country. And we need to address them because we are just from an election which was contested, and a section of Kenyans, at least 50% of Kenyans, voted for one side, and others voted for one side. It's only that the others were a bit more than the others. When their concerns or their leader raises questions, it's important that we listen to what it is that they are saying, because he has a critical mass of people behind them. That is on the one side. On the second side, there is the issue of the rising cost of living, which Mheshimiwa has talked about. It's good he has highlighted that there is a plan by government to subsidize production, but that's a long-term plan. Kenyans, if your kid is at home and hungry, you have no food to feed them.
Right.
And then, of course, you have the challenge of even putting food on the table, and your kid has not gone to school and you cannot be able to feed them. Just recently, I saw a photo in Kajiado where parents go with kids to school because there's free food at school. They go queue. So such people, you cannot be able to tell them that you are subsidizing production and they should be able to wait. They will be long dead. Already the animals died in the northern Kenya and sections of this country.
It's not an immediate solution.
It's not an immediate solution. We need something immediate which will need to cater for the livelihoods of these people. And that's where I think this government is getting it wrong. If they could be able to swing into action so quickly and be able to mitigate some of these challenges, especially the issue of food and the issue of water, then I could say there could be no major reason as to why we should be able to to go into the streets. But when a man has nothing to lose, then he's bound to be problematic in terms of governorship. So I think the best thing for this government to do is to actually call the opposition to the table and tell them, look here, good people, we have tried where we can. Here is our plan. It's not that Kenyans don't know what the plan of the government is. They do. But then you're hungry. You've not.
What do you do?
What do you do?
All right,
There's somebody giving Gay an option that if you go to the streets, things might change. You will take that option. So that is, I think, where we are as Kenyans. And not that they support the Maandamano, but it's the process where we are. It's the situation where we are, which they need the government to address now.
And allow me to cut you short there, and then we will be back. I want us to take a short break. After this break, what did the CS of Interior, Kitui Kindiki, say? We shall be taking a look at what he said together with what the police have said in regards to this particular day. Let's take that break. We'll be back with more right here on Good Morning Kenya. Welcome back. We proceed with this conversation right here on Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for sticking with us with Gibson, Gisore, and Honorable Nimrod Mbai, who is political analyst and honorable member of parliament for Kitui East, respectively. Gibson, before we took that break, we were still on you.
Yes.
And what you're saying is you're trying to highlight that Kenyans are not demonstrating because of Azimio. They're demonstrating because they are hurt.
Yes.
And they have no other reasons to stay at home.
Yes.
Do you feel like these demonstrations will actually bring a solution to their needs?
I cannot for sure say that, but you see, the government has been very categorical that they are sticking to their plan of subsidizing production. And on the other hand, of course, the government is also talking about lowering the cost of gas, which is also another solution. At the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves, is this government moving fast enough to address the real issues of Kenyans? On the other side, the government is hard pressed for cash. So there could be, we had before the election, we had the issues of subsidies, which they are critically analyzing and saying that it was not sustainable. So, but then, you know, when you are sitting at the head of the state, you got to come up with other solutions. You don't just lock out a plan and then say, now, that one is closed chapter, we should not talk about it while people are dying. Because you realize, like, the people in the northern Kenya, their livelihood is about cows. Those cows have since died, all of them. The people in Kajiado, these cows have, it means the wealth of the country has actually reduced because the net worth of this country or the net worth of these regions is actually counted on what it is that they own, and it's only cows they own. So a section of this country's population has been impoverished. They cannot be able to eat. They cannot be able to take their kids to school. And they are in a position where they have nothing to lose. We have the wars going on in the North Rift. This could also be attributed to such challenges because the animals have since died. They don't see anybody coming in to help them with anything. And I'm seeing a prolonged crisis like the one we have in Ethiopia, where the Tigray people are fighting the government because the government went in heavy-handedly to brutalize these people, not actually listening to their concerns. A government needs to be one which has a listening ear. You don't listen and say, okay, we have heard you, but then this is our plan. If this plan is not working, then you better come up with a better plan so quickly, which can be able to mitigate some of these challenges. If we could be able to look at these things from such a critical perspective, then we could be able, at the end of the day, be able to say there's really no reason for somebody to be in the streets. But as we stand, we're being told that there is a maize in the high seas. There's only maize in South Africa, which we're waiting for the government to send some organization to go and buy. You know, some stories, abracadabra stories, which you wonder. I mean, is this government really aware of the challenges which are facing Kenyans? Because people are dying. There are abracadabra stories. I mean, when you tell us that somehow you want to go to Zambia, I mean, we are waiting for some Unga people to put their money together and go buy maize in South Africa. Really?
Then the question is the government's plan working? Is Ruto's plan working?
It could work eventually, but now we need to eat. That is the challenge.
Right,
as we wait for the plan to materialize.
I will come to you, Moshimu, and then you'll give us your thoughts in regards to that. But before I do so, let's take a look at what the CS and the police had to say in regards to the protests that were planned today.
The Interior Cabinet Secretary urging Kenyans to allow security agencies to discharge their mandate of maintaining law and order amid the protests. Kindiki added that the government reiterates its commitment to respect, protect and promote all fundamental rights and freedoms guaranteed under the Constitution. Kindiki noted that security officials will prevent unauthorized access to all protected areas.
Good.
Earlier, Nairobi Police Boss Adamson Bungei termed the protest as illegal, adding they do not meet the threshold of the Public Order Act.
And we've not authorized. It has to meet the thresholds of the article, the Public Order Act of 2012. If it is not within the framework of that order, then it is illegal. So I want Kenyans to be guided, to be informed by the law, not by persons of personal interest, so that we remain as a country, because this is our country.
And still, the question is, you've said a very good statement there that yes, Kenyans are hungry, but are we being guided by the law? Are we following due process? Mheshimiwa, your thoughts on the same and what the CS and the police have said?
Yeah, two things we should face. I like facing the reality.
Calling facts for what they are.
Yes, no matter my position in governance of this country. Yes, people are hungry. People lack food. The cost of living is high out there. I represent people. I represent a constituency.
Yes.
A rural constituency, by the way. In Ukambane, which is the most affected region by lack of food.
Yeah.
And also ways of making money to buy the same food. So the earlier we got cheaper food, maize flour, rice, beans, the better for the country. And I totally believe from, the president has been talking to leaders about his plan and how it will materialize. We have seen leaders from all over the country, elected leaders, governors have gone to meet the president and he has talked to them about the issue of food and how food prices are going to be lowered. The president has met MPs, elected members, even from Nyanza, and informed them his plan on how food prices are going to be lowered. And they have agreed. And majority of them have said, from what the president has explained to us, there is no reason to go for Mandamano because for sure there is a clear plan on how we are going to lower the cost of living.
So this Mandamano is not a solution that Kenyans need?
Mandamano, the day has hours, as in a day is limited.
Yeah.
He called Mandamano for 20th, which is today. It can only happen from, let's say, 6 in the morning, when we have some light, sunshine, up to 6 in the evening. 6 evening is a few hours from now. What we will see, my friend, by the end of the day, the results you will see is not what the Mandamano was intended for. The result you will see is vandalism in the streets of Nairobi, is looting in the streets of Nairobi, is mayhem where people will be hurt, ambulances rushing people to the hospital. Ruto will not change his course because an election loser has called all his people to the streets to demonstrate.
So you believe
because the solution in Ruto, the problem Ruto is trying to solve, was caused by the same person who is demonstrating today. I cause a problem, then people elect you to solve the problem. Then, by the time we are planning and pushing so hard to solve the problem, I call for a Mandamano against you.
Wait a minute, Mheshimiwa. How has the Azimio team caused Kenyans these problems they're facing?
We were in the handshake government. You know how money was stolen. KEMSA money was stolen. This subsidy money, we called for subsidy. The supplementary budget was done for it, for food prices to be lowered, and nothing went low. If you can check our facts, where a kilo of maize was before subsidizing it, it never moved in a shilling low. So where did the money for subsidy go? It went to the election. Where did the money for subsidy for petroleum go? The other day we were cross-checking with the Minister for Petroleum, and he brought all the bills, everything, the costs by then, and money was withdrawn to subsidize fuel. Money was paid to subsidize fuel, which up to now, some of the bills have not been paid. Ruto is paying. And a liter never went down, even with a shilling. So where did this money go? Between 4th and 5th of August last year, 2022, is when this money was withdrawn to go and fund an election. So the people who caused this problem, which Ruto is trying to resolve, are the same people who are calling for Mandamano against Ruto, who was given an opportunity of trust by Kenyans to solve the problem.
Gibson, do you agree with what Mheshimiwa is saying?
I think, of course, they're raising the issues of money getting lost. I do support them to bring these issues to the fore, that the money was indeed lost. If it was lost, we need to be told why this money was lost. They are the people in government. Let them take these people to book. But as to the current issue which we are dealing with, the issue of having food on the table of Kenyans, you cannot tell us that money was stolen on subsidies, the previous regime, so we are not going to subsidize anything, so you guys go die. I mean, that cannot be the solution of our sitting government. The solution of our sitting government should be feed the people first. If this government could be able to swing into action and be able to ensure that already people are fed, and then now let's now deal with the issues of who stole what money, where did this money go. Government is as a very interesting mechanism of finding where this money went, freezing the assets of these people, putting people inside. Why are we busy talking about this issue? I think it's an issue for us, and it's an aspect of scapegoating, which is not necessary at this point, while we are running away from the key issue where people are dying. Mheshimiwa's people have said that it comes from a rural constituency, which is also kind of semi-arid. I will expect that, the voice of the people from the ground, we should be advocating how do we do more irrigation, how do we actually be able to get water to the people. During the Kibaki era, these challenges have been perennial. We have seen governments swing into action, go give food to Kenyans. I've not seen this government move proactively. Yes, in some pockets, in some sections, they have done that, but proactively, I've not seen any critical plan to solve or alleviate the challenges which Kenyans are facing, especially giving them water, especially also ensuring that even they buy their cows before they die, or coming up with a mechanism whereby you can also be able to take food to the people. I mean, it's even high time that we even asked that whoever who is willing to support Kenyans can be able to come in and support Kenyans. But you keep quiet, you start telling us, oh, money was stolen, we cannot subsidize this because somebody else stole, but that somebody else is not in power. It's your key challenge, it's your key priority to ensure that every Kenyan is fed. And that is a constitutional provision that government must be able to ensure that its people are well taken care of, medically, health, kids have gone to school, and then people are able to eat. And then when you have done all those things, then you can actually question the opposition, why are you in the streets? Okay. Well, we have done 1, 2, 3 to ensure that these people are being fed. Then even us, we can be able to question the opposition that you really do not have any reason because this government has done 1, 2, 3 and it's in the process of doing 1, 2, 3. So we don't know what your plan is. But as it stands now, from where I sit, I think the government is moving slowly or doesn't have a concrete plan, if I may say so, on how to actually alleviate the challenges which Kenyans are going through, or they don't plan to do it. Because when a section of the country is hungry and they are engaging in that which they know to ensure that they can be able to eat, the only plan is to take the military and bomb them. I don't think that's a very wise plan. And tell them if you are not going to move from your place and run away to wherever you want, they are not even specifying where they want these people to run away to, then you are a terrorist, we're going to bomb you. I mean, there are some critical issues, especially which are illegal, which we need to look at.
You are referring to the banditry areas?
The banditry areas, and some of those things are the things which will be able to cause crisis, because we had the Wagala massacre, which a lot of people were killed.
But still, what Mheshimiwa said earlier on, and I will ask that question a bit later, is that the government is currently suffering from effects of the previous regime. And I will come to that. What you're saying is that the government has not offered solutions. Yet, let's take a look at facts here. The president has actually said that there are plans and strategies that have been set to be achieved in order for them to save the economy and bring food to the people. Isn't that a fact that you must also consider?
That I've said as much, that there are plans and these plans could work eventually. A year down.
But you said there are more plans.
A year down. A year down. But what is the current plan? Because people need to eat. Cows are dying. I mean, you can't see your whole herd die and then you just sit there and then wait to also die, because after your herd has died, you are also going to die. and the government is telling you we are waiting for the rains. First, fertilizer has been given, but the rains have been very erratic, so the food might not actually even come. So we need to actually have a counter plan. Those are some of the things which we need to hear from the current regime.
Mheshimiwa?
You know, my friend, when someone is not in the opposition, may not be privy to the plans the government has for solving some of these problems.
Correct.
You remember in the beginning, the president formed a task force chaired by the deputy president and all the governors from the assault areas, and eventually all the governors were involved on how, because agriculture is a devolved function. There is no way you can meet food production without working with the governors, because that function of producing food is a devolved function. But the national government went ahead and said, we want to work with the county governments so that we can solve this problem within a short period of time. That's why you are not seeing a single governor in the protest. All the governors, including Orengo, who has been the right-hand man for Raila Odinga, he is not talking of Mandamano, because he has been sitting in task force, which is working on feeding Kenyans, and he understands from where he sits that Kenyans are going to be fed on that the prices of food are coming down in a short period of time.
But that's a wait and see situation, because
it's not a wait and see.
We may see them today.
No, it's
going
not
to State House.
It's not. No, so we are in this country today.
Yes.
You will see no single governor in the protest. You will only then even MPs. You will see all Kenya Kwanza MPs are not going for the protests. All the Jubilee MPs are not going for the protests. Half of ODMP MPs who have met the president, they've been taken through the plan, are not going for the protest. It's only a few guys who are basically sycophants who are going for this protest. And the reason is they've not given the president a hear to understand what the plans the president has to lower the food. Like where I sit, I said, if there is someone who is suffering, is my people, the people of Kitui East. But I know the plan the president has to provide food for my people. And I know we can survive for a few days to give the president room to bring this lasting solution on food prices and also availability. You know, Ukambani cannot produce food. So when you decide to subsidize production, you can't subsidize in Ukambani because you don't have rains. We have our Kenyan food baskets, Trans Nzoia, Kitale, where you take fertilizer, which has been lowered, the prices, where you take seeds, which have prices have been lowered. So they will produce massively at a low cost, and we'll have maize all over the country at a very low cost. And that will solve the problem long term. And the problem will not be like, the other day we solved the problem through subsidy. It's just a few months. The problem is with us. It has not moved. So we need a smarter solution, which the president has decided to provide. Also, you know, when you want to get something done, let's get to actual facts. Let's get deeper to the waters now. For the maandamano to succeed, the people who are leading the maandamano need the masses to be with them. So there has to be a rallying call, something that identifies with Mwananchi, that will make Mwananchi come to demonstrate. And that's why the food thing has been brought on board. But the actual thing that is being that the demonstrations have been called for is not food prices, is the election. Raila feels he is the legitimate president of this country, whereby the legal processes which conducted the elections declared him the loser, declared someone else, William Ruto, the winner. IBC, the Supreme Court, declared William Ruto the winner. But for Raila now to get masses behind him so that he can have a push that will shake the president, so that the president can call him on the table and discuss and handshake something, he needs something to help him rally the people behind him. And that's why he's using the cost of living.
You've mentioned a very good point there. And let me quote the president. And Gibson, I'll give you time to react because I'm seeing you're laughing there a bit. The president said this, and I quote, that I am ready to engage with any leader if we are discussing the future of our country in a constitutional manner. He went on and said, but I am not going to engage any anarchy. You are not going to threaten us with ultimatums and chaos. End of quote. Gibson.
I like the position of the president because he's very firm and he seems to be tackling issues head on. That we have to give it to him. Now, I like what also Mheshimiwa said, that there's a plan which apparently some of us don't know, or they have been explained to us State House, and him as an MP is in a position to access privileged information which some of us out here might not be able to access. But the core rule of governorship is to actually communicate, because if Kenyans were well aware of these plans, that there's a plan to feed them today in the evening, there's a plan to ensure that their kids are in school tomorrow, there could be no reason whatsoever for any Kenyan to even imagine of going to the streets. What I've been actually advocating is the fact, I don't advocate for maandamano. Personally, I don't like confrontations. But I'm trying to understand the Kenyans who are going to go to the streets today. These are Kenyans who have, whose dignity has actually come to the lowest. These are people who feel that the government is not there for them.
Remember, Gibson, let me remind you that even in Kisumu yesterday, you saw it. In Kisumu yesterday,
people were demonstrating.
We had people demonstrating, and what they were saying, they were not demonstrating anti-Ruto. It was actually pro-Ruto, saying we need peace. We do not want the maandamano, the demonstrations that are planned to, on Monday to take place. Those in Kisumu.
Yes, but you also, there was a counter move which were telling them, you people, if you have eaten, then we have not eaten. Let's just first advocate for our rights. And there was a confrontation.
But all these are Kenyans, you know, remember?
You realize, yes, all these are Kenyans. And then, you know, this issue is not even Kenyan only. You know, these are global issues.
Yes, Mheshimiwa.
Let's be realistic.
Yes.
If you see a critical mass coming together and saying we need peace, we don't want maandamano. In Kisumu.
In Kisumu?
Yes. What does that tell you? Kisumu, the head quarters of Raila Odinga, we can get 1,000, 2,000 people coming together and going against the maandamano. We can get 15 MPs going against maandamano.
Gibson,
what does that tell you?
I think Mheshimiwa is a politician.
People have confidence in what President Ruto is doing. The MPs who are elected leaders have confidence. Some public there, women who have children, women who were there in 2007, 2008, who saw what it means by violence, post-election violence, who know where it takes the country. They are going to the streets and demonstrating against Raila for the first time. What does that tell you?
Gibson, what does that tell you?
What it tells me is that there is a lot of politics going around. And the politics, in politics, you know, politicians, Mheshimiwa is a politician, he knows that well, that when he has opposition from the other side, he can even sponsor people from the other side to demonstrate against their own so that it looks like it's balanced. It's the same thing we have in Nairobi. They have been saying that, you know, maandamano should be able to go on, they should give the schedule, they should tell us the routes they are going to use. They have been very clear. And all of a sudden today, yesterday in the evening, I hear the County Commission of Nairobi or the commanding officer saying that we received 2 requests, so we are cancelling both. So, I mean, those are politics and counter politics. But then the issue at the table is never solved, and that is an issue whereby politicians or the people in authority try to make it look stage managing a demonstration like the one which was stage managed in Kisumu. We cannot be able to go by such things because at the end of the day,
serious allegations.
At the end of the day,
let's talk as if we do this in this country.
Yes,
I know my brother has not just flown in from Canada. He has been here, and he doesn't look like he's been overseas for since he was born, that he came in, he has been in this country with us here. And for anybody to get a critical mass in Kisumu to go against Raila Odingaism is not a main thing. There is nobody who can go to Kisumu, hire people to protest against Raila. That has never happened. Uhuru never did it, Moi never did it, Kibaki could not manage it, Ruto can't manage it. But these people came out voluntarily to say, no, Baba, for the first time, we were there. You know, these are people who are in Naivasha. You know what happened to this community in Kisumu who are living in Naivasha in 2007, 2008. They went through hell when Raila was sleeping in Karen. He never went through hell by then. They are the same people who are back at home, and they are saying, for heaven's sake, even the anger, the jar we are talking of, is not as worse as violence in the streets. Our kids will be hurt, there will be displacement of people, and this is more worse than jar in this country.
I want us to take a break, Mheshimiwa and Gibson, and after this break, we'll be taking a look at one area, one group. Remember, yesterday, President Ruto spoke in church. Honorable Raila Odinga also spoke in church. What are our church leaders saying in regards to these particular protests? Let's take a break. We'll be back in a bit. It's getting hot in studio. This is Good Morning Kenya. All right, now I am back on my smart screen. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Courtesy of my 3 route, I'm seeing Salim Omumo is saying no traffic along Uhuru Highway. It looks like a public holiday. Some Kenyans are still thinking that it's a public holiday. Well, it was declared that today is not a public holiday, and they said that it is a working day. But Salim is saying that along Uhuru Highway, there is no traffic. So this is ecstatic. He's saying, I am equally shocked. It's a free-flowing road from Karen. Okay, from Karen. This is Thika Road survey. Remember, these are the latest pictures. This picture was taken 4 minutes ago. This is Thika Road survey area, no traffic at all. Let me zoom in. What's happening, Kenyans? Are we going to work? Are we going to work? All right, let me move. That is according to David. And I'm seeing this is Kenyan Onlooker is saying, just had to confirm that it's a Monday. No traffic whatsoever on this day. Thika Road, all clear. This is Kuria saying, state of the traffic this Mandamano Day on Thika Road, Wangari, Wamadai Road, Uhuru Highway, Langata Road, and Kwingineko. Barabara zote ni nywe. Kenyans, are we going to work? Leo Mudaiga kuko is free flow. This according to Punstar at Punstar. This is or Punstar. Mudaiga, Thika Road, free flow. Interesting picture here. Let me zoom in. Look at that. Just look at that. Kenyans, are we going to work? Is somebody getting fired today? All right. Still, let's proceed. Mukuria Evanson is saying the vandalism on street lights, Red Hill Road is worrying, talking about the state of the road, complaining about how the state of the road is. This is Phil Cheluli saying, by the way, at a time like this, traffic is always there from KCA, but there is no traffic from KCA. I wonder about other routes. I'm seeing many Kenyans are talking about Thika Road. Can I see Kenyans talking about other routes? Talk to me. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya. Thika Road heading to CBD is clear. Zoom in. Take a look at that. CBD, very clear. Remember, these are amateur videos, of course, courtesy of Twitter. Let's proceed. To keep you updated in what's happening in the country, this is according to Brian. Brian is saying, if you thought Raila is here to help the economy improve, just take a look at Thika Road. Very clear. All right. And still, updates on Thika Road. This is also Thika Road. Kenyans saying it's clear. Do many Kenyans use... I'm seeing Juja Road. Good. Juja Road is okay, empty. According to Hussain, he's saying Juja Road is empty. And this is finally, Phil is saying, never seen Thika Road on a Monday morning like this. Let me just zoom in and then I leave it here. That is Thika Road, ladies and gentlemen. Let me move to the other side of studio as we talk about matters concerning the nation right here. Mheshimiwa Gibson, you've seen how the roads are looking. Does it mean that Kenyans are saying no to Mandamano? You said Kenyans are hungry, but does it mean they're saying no to Mandamano? Mheshimiwa.
You know, it said, one beaten, twice shy. Kenyans went through this in 2008.
Yes.
Post-election violence.
Yeah.
People lost their lives. People lost their property. Cars were smashed, vandalized. So nobody will risk today to get involved with the town center, because chances are very high that the goons who will be coming to demonstrate will steal, will vandalize, will kill people. So the best thing is to stay home with your kids. That's what most Kenyans are thinking, because they went through it in 2008.
Are these Kenyans employed still? We're talking about a working nation.
This is Thika Road. Around this time,
yes,
people are coming to work.
Normally at this time,
what causes traffic jam on Thika Road is people driving to town for work.
Yes.
So if people are not driving to town for work, it means they are home, because they are afraid of what is in town. Because as you heard Raila say, that they will
march to State House.
They will assemble in town center, then march to State House. What does that tell you? We know this is not a peaceful demonstration. We know what will happen. So the best thing is, Daddy, stay home. My husband, kindly forget about the job. Let's stay home. Let's be safe. We were there in 2008. Even if you lose a job, you will get another one. But the critical question on that, what is that going to do to the country? What is that going to do to the country? People have lost today's sales. People are not reporting for medical checkups, which had appointments. People are not productive all day. Imagine over 20 million Kenyans who work in Nairobi are not coming to work, are not being productive for 12 good hours. What does that do to our economy? Is that what a leader should do?
Gibson.
Will that create food? Will that lower the cost of food in our country, or will it make the cost of food go higher? So it is a negative thing. Somebody may think it is positive. Kenyans are scared, they are not coming. I have won. But you have not won. You've lost it. Because people are not coming because they know the kind of buffoon you are and what you are likely to do to Kenyans.
Take it slowly.
No, it's true.
We are not going to go that direction.
No, you know, there is a baboon and a buffoon. These are different things.
Gibson, you've seen how the state of the roads are. Is it concerning for you that Kenyans are not going to work? And somebody might lose their job today. Somebody is going to sleep hungry today.
Exactly. I am concerned, and my concern comes from a perspective whereby it's very clear. In law, we say receipts are locita. Facts speak for themselves.
Yeah.
You can actually see that Kenyans, there's a problem. There's a very clear problem which needs to be solved. How do we move from here? A good government could be able to ask themselves this question: how do we assure Kenyans that all is well, go to work, you will come back, take your kids to school, and then there will be no problems? That cannot be assured when you have an opposition which is insisting to be in the streets. We have people who are not fed, who are willing to follow the opposition, to just make a statement to the government that all is not okay. So what does this call for?
Right.
For me, what it calls for is for dialogue. Let's sit down as Kenyans. We all belong to this country. Let's sit down, discuss these issues, and be able to find our way forward. Now, that is the only thing which can return traffic to Thika Road, ensure kids are in school, and ensure people are assured that they're going to be safe when they come to the CBD.
For the record, some of our kids were actually going to school today after the midterm break,
yes,
or the half-term break. I don't know if...
No,
it has been called.
Kids will not. I know several schools who have said. Actually, my daughter was to go for a performance today.
Has she gone?
In a debate, but the teachers organized for it to be done tomorrow, so that the kids don't travel today. Imagine what we are doing to innocent kids, 8-year-old, 9-year-old. What my brother Gibson is saying, and what he's not telling us, is let's face the reality. You are here. You have a naughty kid. Who is your kid? A daughter or a son? And you go to the supermarket and she is yelling to pick a doll that is costing 10,000, and she starts to roll on the ground so that daddy can be scared and buy the doll. Will you slap the kid, or are you going to buy the kid the doll? That is what Raila is doing. Raila is now rolling on the ground, crying for a doll, and expecting Ruto to persuade him, mommy, daddy's boy, we'll buy the doll for you. Quiet, I'll get money, I will borrow money. No, nobody's going to borrow money because of this.
That's a good analogy.
My friend, you are going home without this doll because you can't afford it, and you have to have manners as a kid.
Remember, comments here during this conversation do not reflect the stand of the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. I want us to...
Let me interject. Mheshimiwa is trying to raise a very interesting aspect that it's a dollar. I mean, the example does not fit the situation.
Okay.
The situation is dire that Kenyans are not able to feed, and then he's just using an example of a kid. Of course, I mean, the issue of a kid is something you can be able to deal with as a parent, but this is an issue which is touching on all Kenyans. It's not about Raila. The report of the people who will be in the streets or who will be demonstrating, they will not be supporting Raila's cause. They will be supporting their cause that they are actually hungry. If we can be able to look at it from that perspective and leave Raila out of the equation, then Raila is just an opportunist who is taking advantage of a position which has been created, which position the government is not trying to listen to. If they were to listen to the cries of Kenyans, then that could already be sorted.
All right, allow us to move to the next issue here. I mentioned before we went on that break, both leaders from government and opposition, we are looking at the president and Honorable Raila Odinga, were in church. Do you feel like the position of the church has been compromised? Has the church taken its place in regards to this? We have a particular clip, a report that was filed by our newsroom in regards to the position of the church and what our church leaders are saying. Take a look at this.
Spiritual leaders have joined other Kenyans in calling for sobriety and restraint over the mass protest pushed by the opposition leader Raila Odinga.
We as a country must decide that we are not going back to that slippery path that leads to violence.
Led by Nairobi Archbishop Philip Anyolo, the clergy said that while the Constitution provides for rallies and picketing, the freedom does not allow forceful takeover or destabilization of a constitutional government.
We Kenyans must reject the venom of hatred that is becoming commonplace in our politicians' mouths.
At the Stewards Revival Pentecostal Church in Nairobi, congregants called on opposition leader Raila Odinga to shelve Monday demonstrations.
Wale ambao wamewekeza katika nchi hii, tukianza kwenda kwa maandamano wataanza kuona nchi hii ni nchi ya aina gani. Ndio tunaomba Raila, wachana na maandamano, patia Rais William Ruto nafasi atengeneze serikali yake at least hata kama ni mwaka.
Sisi hatutaki, sababu maandamano ni ya kuleta vita na kuleta watu wengine wauliwe, kutakuwa na mambo baya.
Remarks echoed separately by Kericho Makueni and Narok clergy.
I think there is a better way to bring it out rather than demonstration. Demonstration every time has killed innocent people. It has destroyed people's properties, and that one our leaders know.
Tunajua pengine our former prime minister ako na nia nzuri, lakini kucontrol hawa maelfu ya watu na kuambia itakuwa kazi ngumu.
Naomba kuwe na amani, kwa maana maandamano inaletaga hasara, haitusaidii na chochote.
Political leaders also joining the fray.
So nataka kuambia baba wa maandamano, andamane kesho na kesho kutwa na milele, lakini State House haingii.
Na walikuwa wanajiuliza itakuwaje William akue president wa nchi ya Kenya ambaye hatujui baba yake ni nani.
Yule alikuwa rais wetu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, kwa sababu tulikuwa tunampenda sana. Wakati huo tungetaka yeye aongee. Kwa nini anamenyamaza? Kwa sababu alipokuwa Kisumu alisema huyu mtu ndiye mkubwa wa chama chake. Kwa hivyo wakati huu tungetaka yeye aseme hako na hii maandamano ama hayako.
Women leaders also added their voice to the debate.
What we need today and what we are asking them to provide is innovative, compassionate, focused leadership.
I recommend upholding democracy, negotiations, diplomacy in this country, so that young people are not the tool to be used to drive an agenda that does not end up benefiting them directly.
But is this the right avenue to use? There are many avenues that Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga can use to dialogue with the president.
In the meantime, Matatu Sacco operators have put on notice drivers who will offer their vehicles for hire to ferry protesters to Nairobi tomorrow, saying they risk losing their jobs.
Sisi tunataka watu yote tuwafanyie kazi, tuwape service ya transport bila kuwa na matatizo yoyote. Wakati maandamano imefanywa, kazi yetu huadhirika sana.
All right, that is what our leaders are saying from the church side and of course also from the lawyer side. And I want to come to you, Mheshimiwa, on to react to that particular clip you just watched. What comes into your mind when you see that?
You know, we've listened to each and every leader speak to this matter.
Yeah.
And none of them has supported Mandamano. Everyone is saying there is a better way of doing it. Let's give the president room to... The president has been in office for the last 5 months. Something that has been destroyed for 10 years. How do you deal with it in 5 months? So the president needs time, as these leaders are saying, to correct it for us to see results. Because the most important thing is the results. Low cost of food, low cost of fuel, those are the things we are looking at. But Maandamano will not help anything. Because I told you, the only thing that Maandamano will do is vandalism in town, theft in town, mayhem, dying of a few people, injuring a few people, ambulance running all over. And then look at who fills these roads, the Matatu sector, ferrying people to work. Today they are not working. These Matatus are on loan. Somebody pays the services they are loan every day after doing the day's business. Today they will not be in business, so they will not pay.
Actually, some may not be in business, but I've seen Kenyans, using matatus to go to work, because yes, we've seen those pictures as we were looking at the smart wall. Those are matatu vehicles on there.
But how many matatus do you often see every morning on Thika Road coming to town, ferrying people? Okay. Yeah, there is the matatus which cause traffic on Thika Road because they are ferrying people to town. But today they are not there.
They are fewer.
They are fewer than normal. So these ones which have been parked for safety, they will not do business today. And chances are high that they are on loan. So the owner will not manage to service his loan today. So what does it accrues interest and everything. So this is hurting the economy. Everybody will be hurt by this maandamano thing.
All right.
And the end result is not lowering of food, lowering of the cost of food, will not be lowering of fuel prices. The end result will be mayhem, will be killing, will be vandalism, will be theft. And if we had a system, that will ensure food prices goes down today, fuel prices goes down today. If we had such a maandamano that will occasion that, then that would be a proper maandamano. But the maandamano we are seeing here today, the end result will not be positive. Will not be lowering the cost of food. Will not be lowering the cost of fuel. Will be mayhem in town. Will be death in town. Will be fear by Kenyans not to come to town to work. Fear by business people to close their businesses. And that is what is happening.
Let me come to you, Gibson.
Any leader of sound mind,
yes,
will you really support that?
Let me come to you,
And any elected leader, let me say this, my friend, any elected leader,
I'm giving you 30
anybody
seconds.
who is representing people cannot do that.
Okay.
Raila is not elected. He is not representing anyone anywhere. So that's why he's doing that, because he has no job.
All right.
He's not a representative of anybody.
Let me come to you, Gibson. The place of the church in these particular protests. Do you? I'm seeing church leaders are saying no to these mandamanos. Do you feel like that stand that the church has taken is giving the country direction?
I think the church is conflicted as it stands, because we have some of them, of course, who are saying that there needs to be dialogue, which I think is something I support fully. And then there's a section of these who feel that those ones who actually even supported the government fully to come into office, because we understand that this government they got to the heart and soul of Kenyans through the church. And I mean, so there will be those clergy or the people of the cloth who will be willing to go with whatever stance the government goes by. But we have a critical mass of Kenyans who feel that something needs to be solved, something needs to be sorted. So the church is speaking from both sides. If we can be able to have a concrete plan as to how we can bring everybody on board and be able to champion a way forward for Kenyans. It's not the first time that we have been in this crisis, Ram. We, in 2007, 2008, we were having a very difficult global crisis. And then what did the leadership then do? And then we had an election, like we just had a few months ago. What did Kibaki do? He knew that this is going to be challenging for me. I might need to take my pride away and be able to solve the issues of Kenyans. He invited for the handshake government, which he allowed the accord to happen, and that government performed tremendously well. I'm not advocating for a handshake. What I'm advocating for is for the current leadership to find a way to assuage the opposition and ensure that Kenya goes ahead. Because if we have the crisis we're having right now on the roads, taxes are not going to be paid. Mheshimiwa was talking about people not going to pay their loans today. How can a responsible government be able to sit back and be able to see this? And then they keep pointing fingers. Remember, when you're in authority, you have no power to point fingers. You've got to provide solutions. What are these solutions they are offering? Of course, clearly, with the kind of assurance they say that there is no maandamano, there is clearly going to be a problem. People are fearing for their lives. People are fearing to actually remove their vehicles, because your vehicle will be banned and you'll be in a serious loss. But then it means there's no trust in government that it can be able to protect your property or be able to protect you at work wherever you will be. That is the only reason the government needs to move in quickly and stop pointing fingers and just say, okay, what is it, Mr. Opposition Man, you want? Can we have a way forward on this? Just on a simple meeting with the opposition or a critical discussion across the country on finding a way forward, like we did in 2007, 2008, and then found a way forward for this country. In 2017, this crisis had started way back in 2017, because some of the fuel crisis has been an ongoing concern. President Uhuru Kenyatta realizes that this is not going to work for me. He does an handshake. We are not asking the current government to seek for an handshake. Nobody's telling them to get one. But let them find a solution. And actually they don't want. Yes. They have been very clear. They need to find whatever solution, a different solution to this crisis, because they are in power to solve a crisis. They are not solving, they are finger pointing, and that is not helping Kenyans. Actually, that is where I'm coming from.
The president has said he is ready to have a discussion, a conversation with any leader in the country, as long as it is discussing the future of the country in a constitutional manner. But no handshake. Now, but still, on you, Mheshimiwa mentioned something earlier on, and I want to bring us back to that particular point before we take that short break in a bit. The deputy president, while taking office, said that we have inherited a dilapidated economy. You've mentioned it. You've also mentioned it. That yes, the fruits that we are eating today come from a tree that was planted before this presidential regime. Why are we blaming Ruto? Why are we having anti-Ruto protests? Is it about the president or a particular tree that was planted before this regime?
From where I sit, I don't think anybody is blaming Ruto, or anybody is actually pointing fingers that they don't want Ruto. Ruto is a good president. He inspires confidence. But one thing which we need to also caution him is that the fact that when there's a problem, we need to see leadership, and leadership which is solving. A leadership which is accommodative, leadership which is all inclusive. That is what we are asking.
All right.
But now we are seeing leadership which is pointing fingers, and that's not helping.
All right.
If we can be able to sort that issue and assure Kenyans that everybody's on board, we have a crisis, can we find a common way forward, then we will not be able to have any problem. Every leadership takes power, and there is no money apparent. I don't know whether the former regimes have a way of just clearing the coffers. That has been the problem. It's not his common problem.
Let me come to you, Mheshimiwa, briefly within a minute. React to that particular question. The fruits we are eating, aren't they coming from a tree that was planted before this regime?
Well, of course, yes. We know the cost of fuel went high during the handshake government. The cost of food prices went high during the handshake government tenure. The drugs, the Kemsa haze was occasioned by the handshake regime. So what the President William Ruto inherited was a dilapidated government. There was no money, and there was also debts. As I told you the other day, just a few minutes ago, this fuel subsidy program, even today, there are pending bills on the fuel subsidy program which Ruto is paying. You remember when these guys were saying they are subsidizing fuel?
Yeah.
They called in fuel marketers. They said we'll pay 18 shillings per litre. So bring in and we'll lower the prices, pump prices, we'll pay 18 shillings per litre. And they never paid. Actually, the bills are being now paid by the William Ruto government. They just lied to the people. The prices never went down. So what we are saying, and I would want to ask my friend Gibson, when he says the government should ensure everybody is on board, who is not on board? No, I wonder. Let's be realistic here. When we say the government have to ensure that everybody is on board,
who is not on board?
Who is not on board?
Good question. Half of Kenyans who are not going to work are not on board. I mean, the streets are dry.
Their work is, they have jobs. I want us to have jobs. What we are simply saying is, after every election, when Raila loses, we should look for a way of accommodating him in government.
I want us to
take a short break,
Mheshimiwa.
Everybody is not on board.
Let's take a short break. We will be back in a bit, and we'll proceed with this conversation as we go through the final stretch of Iron Politics. Let's take that break. We'll be back in a bit. All right, we're back. This is still Good Morning Kenya. We proceed with this conversation. This is the final stretch right here on Eye on Politics. We've taken a look at what our politicians are saying, what our leaders are saying. We've come to the final stretch of this particular conversation. And even as we do so, still to remind you on our dailies here, we have a copy of the daily of the Standard newspaper, Day of Showdown, that is on the Standard newspaper. A day of showdown. President William Ruto says he will not buckle under pressure from opposition's protests while the church called for dialogue. On day, Raila insisted the march is unstoppable. That is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Nation, that is what's on the front page. Ruto backs talks as Raila protests start. That is on the Daily Nation. Of course, as calls for dialogue between President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga intensified, the head of state yesterday said that he was willing to hold conditional talks even as the opposition chief rallied troops for demonstrations today. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. And also on the front page of the Star newspaper, Raila vows State House march on Ruto. Raila vows State House march on, Ruto warns. That is on the Star newspaper. And we have pictures here where we have different demos taking place. Former Prime Minister asks supporters to gather in CBD from dawn for march to, and I quote, claim of victory. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. And these are what are making headlines on our different dailies this fine Monday morning in regards to protests that have been scheduled to take place today. What do you think about these particular protests? Keep talking to us, keep engaging with me. The hashtag, as always, is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Ram Aguko. At Ram Aguko is my handle, and the official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. Let's proceed, and of course, we're coming to a final stretch right here on this conversation with the Honorable Nimrod Mbai, Member of Parliament and of Kitui East, together with Gibson Gisore, who is a political analyst. Of course, I want to quote, this is Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. He said this, and I quote, Kenyans should not be worried about Monday protests. The president is fully in charge. He defeated those fellows when they had all the instruments of power, which he now has. Kenya is safe. Of course, we're bringing this conversation to a close. Your thoughts in regards to this? Yes, we have many issues that are there. Do you agree with what Honorable Musalia Mudavadi is saying, Mheshimiwa?
I don't think you can say it better than Mudavadi has said it.
Yes.
And I think he was so sober, and Mudavadi is always sober when he's discussing national issues. You can't put it better than the way Mudavadi has put it. You know, we have our government in place. And when Ruto saw things were not going well in this country, and he had been pushed out of office, literally, he decided to contest for presidency so that he can ascend to power and change things. And that's what a leader does. He went through an election, and the government was against him, the system, everything was against him. But Kenyans stood with him and he won.
All right.
So what I'm trying to say is this. If you feel there is a problem in our country, instead of doing mandamano, there are legal ways of doing it. You can go to court, you can do mandamano in peace, you can wait for 5 years and contest to win the presidency so that you can correct the wrongs which are going on, the way Ruto did it. But coming in a violent way, as we will see today, and my happiness is Raila will be on the streets. Forget about his kids, forget about everybody. Him himself will be on the streets. Raila has never faced a serious government when doing his funny things here. Take it from me. From today, you will never see Raila back in the streets trying to do demonstrations. He'll be handled in a proper manner.
You believe today is the last time he'll be on the streets?
Today is the last time Raila will go for a mandamano. He'll be handled properly. I saw the commander, the county and regional commander for Nairobi, Adam Mugbungei. I trained with him. Actually, we were recruited the same day and we trained together. He is a human. He is schooled on human rights, but also we schooled in handling such a kind of fellas. This guy will be handled properly. That's why we are saying the president is in control.
Let me ask you, Mheshimiwa. There is a question here concerning Gamia Mandamano in Kitui East. What is that all about?
As you know, we have a challenge, and the country has a challenge with bandits. And my constituency is one of the affected. The whole of Kitui is actually affected. Kitui South, Kitui East, Mwenge Central, and Mwenge North. We have Somali hunters who have brought their camels in our farms, and they are armed. Just 2 days, they killed 2 people in my constituency. Tomorrow I'll be in the constituency. I spoke to the Minister for Interior. He agreed we open a police station, a police post where these people had been killed in Kenani. So tomorrow I'll be accompanying the security team to open this police post so that we can have security officers around that area full time in Kenani.
Do you have concrete solutions towards these issues concerning your constituency?
Yes, we do. Because in my first term, the last election, when we went in and did the right thing, we enjoyed 3 years of peace. No mother who ran away from his home, no mother who lost his crops to camels, nobody was killed. But during the electionary period, I think these people thought Nimrod is losing, and so they came back. But now that we've come to realize the problem is back, we've not resolved it. We are going back to use the same maneuvers we used to stop them the way we did, so that we can have peace for 3 years. Allow me to assure my people and the people of Kitui in general.
Please do.
What we are doing from tomorrow will eat the last nail on this coffin. We will never be troubled by these camel elders. We are marching. We are marching the camels from Muda through Endau, through Malalane, all the way to Garissa Road, and drive them back to Garissa. Ourselves, the police will be backing us with guns. We have the Minister for Interior has given us a police service who have arms in the villages, and they are helping our people. But the community has decided, and I will not be back in Nairobi until I get these camels back to Garissa.
Wonderful.
I will lead from the front.
The people of Kitui
We are not going to do mandamano. I can't do mandamano because of a problem. You know, there is a saying in Kikamba, or you don't show tears to a problem.
Say it again, slowly.
Right. When you face a problem, you don't start crying. The problem will pin you down more. The problem will be worse than it was before you started crying.
Thank you so much.
You fight through it. So we are going to fight through this problem. We will open the police station tomorrow, and then get in the forest, get away these camels off until we join Thika Road, and drive the camels all the way back to Bangale, their home. And that will solve our problem.
Thank you so much.
And officer, we know that these camel herders are very corrupt. So they tend to give small monies to the chiefs.
But I'm glad that you've managed to get solutions to it.
Yes, and that's the best thing. I cannot go ahead and imagine if Nimrod started telling my people, let's go for mandamano against camels. How will I look? I'll be a woman, I'll not be a man. It's only a woman who demonstrates in the house when the husband does something wrong.
Utapigwa mawe, Mheshimiwa. Women rights will
it's a way of our mothers solving problems by making some chaos and working in the way Raila is working. That's Gibson, not what a man does things.
Gibson, let me come to you as we bring it to a close. Honorable Mudavadi is saying that Kenyans should not be worried about the protests. The president has everything in control. As we bring this to a close, your thoughts on that?
My thought is, I think Honorable Musalia Mudavadi is also starting to become aloof. And this kind of government, the state power and the state bureaucracy is getting to him. He needs to understand that Kenyans are suffering, and he needs to speak a language which people can be able to understand in that. Now, the mandamano which is going to happen is not about handling Raila. You know, that is the kind of misconception the people in government have, that this mandamano is about Raila. It's not about Raila. Raila is just a person who is using the mandamano to light the matchstick, but then the problem exists. It's rife time that the fire was to be started, and he's the one starting it. But then the challenge is, how do we solve? It's good Mheshimiwa is alluding to his problem at the home. He's going to be on the ground with these people walking and matching the camels. I don't know whether that is going to be a lasting solution, because other camels might also come. I don't know whether he'll be going back and forth every other time to match the camels. But there is a concrete issue whereby we need to find resources for our people, ensure that there is food for the camels. Do not move to his constituency by themselves or by choice. It's because there is hunger. The people need some feeds. People need the camels to feed them, because you don't want to see your herd die. Okay. So if we can be able, as Kenyans, or as the leadership, the current leadership, can be able to stand up to the occasion and say, okay, very well, because we saw Moi was leading an unpopular government, but when such crisis could come, Moi could lead from the front. He could be in the streets and telling people, we have a problem, we are going to supply you with, even he could ask food from outside. And that is what we need, that a government which understands and works with the people. Now, this government is pointing fingers from rooftops and from churches and from pulpits. The best thing is to be on the streets and understand what are the people in Kibera feeling like. Give them food, ensure that there is enough food on the table. And when you do that, people will be like, that president recognizes our challenge, or that leadership does recognize our challenge.
Thank you so much.
Once that is sorted, then there will be no need for mandamano.
Thank you so much, Gibson Gisore, for coming, and Honorable Nimrod Mbai for joining us today. It has been a pleasure having the both of you gentlemen. Asante ni sana.
Asante.
And of course, that is what brings us to the end of this conversation right on Good Morning Kenya. Eye on Politics ends now. But keep talking to us on the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. We still proceed with this particular show after this. As we take this break, take a look at this particular feature on energy saving tips. After this break, I shall also be back with matters concerning family check and infidelity. How is it affecting your family? My name is Aguko. Let's take that break. We'll be back with more right here on KBC Channel 1. Energy saving tips coming up next, right here.